Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and let's go on a little journey of the garden today and try and show you guys some updates and a little vlog on what I'm doing to really kind of have my garden survive during these 100-degree days. Now guys, before we really get started, I just wanted to remind you guys to make sure that you subscribe because we are doing a giveaway. We're getting closer and closer to our 10K giveaway, which I'm so excited about. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and then also go over to Instagram and follow Mighty Crop. They are our sponsor for our 10K giveaway, which we are giving away a Mighty Crop system, a $50 gift card, and a seed organizer. So make sure you guys subscribe if you like me. And also you will be able to get an entry for every comment that you leave on all of my videos. So we're going to be adding them all up and then picking a winner once we hit 10K. So now, what am I doing now that my garden is 100 degrees plus, because it's ranging between 100 to 105 every single day, which is kind of hot. But I do want to point out that we are not in a full-on like late Arizona summer. We're kind of like in a beginning summer. It's still kind of our spring, even though it's super hot. So we are cooling down at night. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is watering. And I'm going to take you out to my garden and show you kind of how I'm watering my garden right now. Because it's not, since it's 100 degrees during the day, it does feel so hot to you, but as long as you properly hydrate your plants, they don't need as much water right now because it's not drying out as much. Now, I will say that this also does depend on your soil, and it also depends on how much you've mulched, because if you haven't mulched enough, then your soil is not going to retain water, and if there's not enough organic matter in your soil, then it's also not going to retain water. So currently I'm deep watering my garden once a week, and I'm watering, like surface watering my garden every single day. Since it's still cooling down at night, it allows the soil to cool down and kind of relax to where it's not constantly getting those hot temperatures and drying out. So I haven't found the need to water my garden twice a day quite yet. Now, I do want to say that's my garden. So if you guys are feeling like your garden is drying out, or if you're gardening with pots and they seem to be drying out, I would suggest maybe getting a little bit more potting soil and topping it so that then you'll have like that perlite and that coco coir in there, and then putting a layer of mulch over it, whether it's a straw mulch or a wood chip mulch or a leaf mulch or anything like that, and maybe put a thicker layer of mulch because it shouldn't be drying out super bad if your nights are cooling down. Now when we get to the point to where it's still 103 at midnight, then yes, I will be watering my garden in the morning and at night. Now guys, I am deep watering once a week right now, and I'm using that little thing, and I basically just move it around my garden, and I want to water it so deep to where it starts to pour out of the beds a little bit. That's how I know that it's completely drenched. Now for my beds, or for my pots that are touching the ground, I do water those really deeply too until they overflow. Now those aren't going to dry out as quick as these ones. So these ones I water pretty deeply, about every other day, and then every day I just kind of give it like a little twirl so it's not getting fungus gnats, which, if you can see, are crawling around this guy. Now, I have fungus gnats because I used these things, and I thought they would be really cool to be able to move around my pots. And turns out, no, it just held a bunch of water, and now I have fungus gnats on the ones that had it on there. which are all these big Dollar Tree ones. Now the pots next to them, those ones are fine. Those ones are fine, but these ones are covered in fungus nets. So what I'm doing is I'm putting some cinnamon down, and then also I am going to make a fungus net trap that I'll show you guys in an upcoming video this week. Now also with watering, guys, right now Arizona is getting some heavy winds, just straight heavy winds, dusting all over the place. So my plants are getting this nice little thick little layer of dust on them. Now what I'm doing is early in the morning I am spraying off the leaves of my plants. Now you'll hear a lot of things when people say like squashes and cucumbers you don't want to spray because they get powdery mildew, and this is very true. You don't want water to sit on those leaves. So one, I only do it about once a week, and two, I do it in the early morning of the day so that then I can have my shade cloth up. Now my shade cloth covers a lot of my garden to where it covers it from top to bottom. So if you have shade cloth that's just at the top, then you should be a little bit more fine with this, and that because it'll have airflow. But I still would do it first thing in the morning so that then the plants have time to dry, one, before they get to the really hot part of the day, and two, before the wind starts really coming in, because it's typically been coming in at the later part of the day. Now if you wake up in the morning and it's on your day that you're spraying the dust off of your leaves, make sure, and it's windy, don't do it, because then you're going to put like mud on your leaves, and that's not going to be healthy for your leaves. The other thing you want to start looking at is spider mites, and that's another reason why I'm spraying off my leaves, because spider mites come in with those dusty winds. And here in Arizona we're so dry that it's like a perfect environment for spider mites just to kind of live. Now if you start seeing things, start seeing signs of spider mites, look for them on your okra, and your cucumbers sometimes get them too as well, but mainly your okra plants or plants like okra, where they have that branching like that. Look for like little webbings on them. If you're starting to get those, our spray that we made, which was the soapy water and lavender oil, you can spray that on there. Now you don't necessarily need lavender oil, but since if you already have some made like I do, because I didn't use all of it, I'm going to use that. You just need some form of oil to break up the soap. So it's not that the plant is sick, it's the fact that the plant is getting infected because of those winds coming in and getting on those spider mites and getting the spider mites on the plant. So in order to not get your plant completely sick, it's kind of a preventative measure on top of hosing them off and making sure that they're not able to set up shop on your plant. I notice every year my okra gets them really bad if I don't stay on top of it, so this year I've made it a point to start early. Now the other thing we're going to start talking about is, when I take you guys back out to my garden, is what to keep and what to kind of toss, because also with these heavy winds and with all the insects getting out there trying to find where they should lay their little babies, they are going to be looking for sick plants. So you got to decide, is this plant worth saving? So now it's time to also decide what's coming out of the garden. Now over here my watermelons got eaten, and even if I did let them grow back, they probably would be pretty stunted. So these ones I plan to pull up, which also gives me enough space to then put down some compost and let the bed kind of get itself back together before putting in new plants. Now this side had compost before this side. If you guys remember when I was taking things out, this side came out first because this was majority of the winter vegetables. So this side is a little bit higher when it comes to soil levels. Now with my pots, I moved them out of the sun. So these ones have already been up there. This one was over the corn. Now the corn was going to grow taller than that mint plant, and it would probably be in the way. And also the corn is in full sun, where I do not want the mint plant in full sun. So I put the mint plant over here, and then also put the hook over here to help hold up the shade cloth. now it's time to look at removing these tomato plants. Now I'm looking at removing the tomato plants right now, this one and the large one here, because I need to start planning what's going to grow in their space. And also for this one, I need this tomato plant, which is starting to show signs of heat damage. I need it to have more shade. So that means that the shade cloth needs to go up on its bar, so that that one has more of a fighting chance when it comes to the hot summer. Now in this place there's going to be Kentucky Wonder beans, but what I need is for the worms to compost the roots of this tomato plant. This one's going to have a little bit more time. So my plan is to take out this big one and just make sure I cover the stump so that I'm not taking out the roots. I'm just cutting it at the bottom part and removing the plant, just like I did over here before putting in that cantaloupe. Look at that okra, guys. Looks like it's going to flower. So with all of that open space after you've decided what stays and what goes, I know you're gonna probably have the urge to fill that space with something else because it's Arizona and you can do that. But I want to urge you guys not to go to a box store or even a nursery and get yourself a plant that's on sale, because with all of these high winds, they're probably infected with spider mites. Now I say that because last year I was like, or maybe 2 years ago, I thought it'd be a great idea to put some lavender in my garden, and I tried starting lavender from seed and it just would not go. So I decided to grab some and it was on sale. It was only like maybe $1 for a pretty big one, or $2 for a pretty big one, and I was so excited about it. I got it, I planted it, and it infected my entire garden with spider mites. Like not just like a little infestation, but like the entire garden got infested in the matter of like maybe 4 days. And when I really looked at the plant, when I got it, I didn't look at it. I just bought it because it was $2 and I was like, yeah, this is great, it's beautiful, it's nice. But when I really looked at it, at the bottom part of it, it had tons of webbing. Now the top seemed perfectly fine, but that bottom had all the spider mites, and it had a ton of spider mites. Now when you think about plant stores and just anywhere that sells starts, they're not really taking care of those starts. They're watering them and making sure that they're alive because they're assuming that they're going to go to a better home. You know, it's not something that they are investigating, really looking at, seeing if there's an issue, maybe tossing out one infected one in the crowd and leaving all of the others. And when they get really bad, they just throw them on sale and they're like, oh well. So sometimes, especially at this point in the season, now I love a good plant sale, and a lot of times I will buy them, I will quarantine them, I will baby them, but spider mites, guys, are like the worst to try and get rid of because they're so tiny and they multiply like ridiculous amounts. So you really, really, really don't want to do that. The other thing that plant brought in was ants. And ants, they have a symbiotic relationship with aphids. So basically the aphid, which I always say that wrong, I think it's aphid, it secretes a sugary substance like poop. And the ant loves that. So the ant will carry it up to your plant to where it needs to go, and the whole time it will be feeding it. So if you see ants in your garden, also check out my video on how to get rid of ants with a borax and sugar mixture. You want to start putting that out if you start seeing ants in your garden. But what it's a perfect time to do right now, guys, is seed start, and seed start indoors. Right now it's too crazy windy to put little baby seedlings out there, and if you wanted to plant some in the dirt, it's kind of an awkward time to do that. But look at your growing guide and see all those things that are available for you to plant for monsoon season, and or even like late summer for those of you guys that are not in Arizona and don't get a monsoon but still are hot. And look at those things and get them to a good fighting weight so that then they can survive the monsoon if we get one. Because right now they're saying something about a drought, so we may not get one. Don't get your hopes up. Last year was a little warm too. So on my growing shelf, guys, I have some These ones are the Chinese red lung noodle beans coming in. I'm not sure what that one is. I think it's a bush bean. I have a sunflower back there, and then that one is a feverfew. Now these are what's going to help me start planning for my monsoon garden. These big long ones are getting cowpeas, and this big one's getting a sunflower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I get these cleaned out, make sure there's no bugs or anything like that in there. The ones that have soil, I'm going to take out half of that soil, put the other half in the worm compost bin, and then I'm going to refresh all of these with soil. And when I say soil, I actually mean potting mix, because these are actual pots. Now, having your plants at like a really decent size when you go to put them out in late summer, like monsoon season, and then we're going to start it all over again to put it out like end of August, early September, when it's really, really hot. So monsoon season is going to be a little bit easier on the plants because it'll have that humidity. Well, then in late August and early September, you're going to have the humidity plus like 118 degrees. So it's going to be even hotter than it will this month and next month, and humid. So getting your plants as healthy as possible and getting them to a larger size where they're a little bit more established, that's going to make it easier for those plants to grow in those temperatures and in those conditions. Now, sometimes when you're looking at your plants too outside, not all the time is it a situation where it is the plant's just dying because it's old, or it's dying because it's done. Sometimes they're dying because the sun has changed. So you want to start looking at your garden and seeing where that sun has changed in your garden. So start checking it in the morning, in the afternoon, and then at dusk to see where you need to put up the shade cloth mostly, what's getting like the highest amount of temperatures, and maybe where you need to move things around. So the one thing we also want to start doing is pruning back leaves. So I'm going to come in here and grab all of the dead leaves off of this eggplant. And then we want to start looking at why things might potentially be dying. Now this is a chamomile, and I know chamomile will do fine in my garden because I have chamomile here, which is loving life. And then I also have chamomile here. So why is that one dying? When I look at the chamomile, those ones and that one over there gets way more sun than this one. So what I want to do is actually remove this one from being over here and put it in a sunnier location over there somewhere. So then that way it has a better chance. And lastly, for everyone, it's the time to start thinking about preserving. As you guys know, I got amazing onions, and I am going to be freezing some of them. I'm going to be doing a mixture that I saw to dehydrate, so I will be probably showing you guys that one if it goes well. And then I'm also going to be starting my ferments. Now, getting ferments are going to be something you want to have in your cabinet, because come flu and cold season, having those fermented foods that your family can eat that can add a lot of probiotics to their body is going to be life-changing. And ferments take time to make. So starting them early so that then they can ferment, and then get in your refrigerator and start getting that good flavor to them so that then people want to eat them is going to be key. So I'm going to take you guys, I'm going to ferment these and the cucumbers, and then hopefully everything goes well and according to plan, and then I will be showing you guys what they look like on Tuesday when I do Tummy Tuesday, because that's coming back, and I will have some ferments that have already been fermenting for a week, and I'll show you guys how I ferment some more things that I have coming up. The other thing I want to recommend is making sure that your house is super, super clean before you start doing these ferments and your canning and your preserving, because you want to make sure you're not getting any bacteria anywhere. So I use Grove. If you guys don't know, I have a link down below. It is a kind of like a referral link. So if you guys do want to get any type of Grove products, you'll get like a whole free little kit and caboodle like cleaning set. So it'll come with your all-purpose cleaner and your glass cleaner and something else. And oh, and like a dish soap. So make sure you guys get that. If you guys don't want to do that, then also a good vinegar and water mixture, or vinegar, water, and alcohol, cleaning your countertops, cleaning all of those little crevices, and making sure that your house is ready to start preserving healthy foods for your family. So with that, guys, I'm gonna leave you to a wonderful day in your garden, and always remember, grow yourselves a garden, because even a small space can provide you with tons of food. Bye, guys.